Boys is getting quiet. Go on and get crunk. Head back to Longview, Kelly popping trunk. I ain't even tripping. Riding and I'm sipping. Let me come through, 4-4, steady tipping. On that new lap. Watch the trunk crack. Let me sit sideways, CB running back. Maybe AP, maybe AD. I ain't even tripping cause we some athletes. Messing with Smitty in the summertime. He get pissed if we don't make our time. But we gon' get it, cause we gotta finish. Nebraska Horn Hustlers, man, we diminished. Put them boys little, paint like a skittle. I ain't even tripping, I ain't never double dribble. Cause I'm a player from the Himalaya. Let me sit sideways, man. Maybe back door, maybe fall off. Sipping codeine cause I gotta kill a cough. Let me sit sideways in the big Benz. Oh, you boys, they my brothers, they my friends.
Ooh. All right. Welcome into a special episode of Fullback U, and I know it's going to look a little bit different. Usually, we bring some athletes on here, former athletes. And these guys, they're athletes as well, but just in a different way. They're just a couple buddies of mine, and I want to start out with Joe. Joe, introduce yourself. Let everybody know how you doing.
My name's Joe Burnett, out here in Nebraska, Cornhusker land. Fan of the Sooners my whole life. My dad wanted to name me after Barry Switzer, but mom vetoed that and settled for Joe Washington. So JD's always been one of my favorite players. I appreciate him having me on.
KP, how you feeling, sir?
I'm good. My name's Kendall. Originally from Ardmore, Oklahoma. You know, Sooner for life since I can even remember. And met JD through Twitter. I don't know, a few years or so now, and that's how we met.
Yeah. Coach Dick, how are you, sir?
I'm good, man. Thanks for having me on. I have known JD, actually was introduced to him a long time ago. We were playing golf, and he had no idea who I was at first. And, he was a competitor at OU while my cousin was actually the starting fullback. And then, of course, JD walked in there and was like, and did his business, and they had to move my cousin to linebacker. So I got introduced to JD there, and then he coaches over at Moore West. I coach over at Brink, and we just hit it off. And he found out that I'm a big Sooner fan and have some family involved in the program a little bit, and it just went from there, man. I appreciate you having me on.
Oh, absolutely. 3 great guys, 3 great fans. Wish I could have had many more, but just let me know, Joe. Let's keep that same rotation. Let me know how you feeling about the season. Let me know how are you happy with everybody. I know nobody's been more. Nobody follows the team, in my opinion, more than you do. So let me know.
I'm just hoping the Texas game kind of turns things around for them. Some guys stepped up and made plays. Just need the consistency. Do it for the entire game instead of half of a game or 3/4 of a game. But that's really where it sits. I think some of the issues we see might not be as bad as we think they are. It's just kind of getting in the rhythm and routine because of the goofy off season. But like I said, hopefully it's a springboard and they can get where they need to be.
KP, you think they can get there? You think they're physical enough? You think they're going to be able to pass their way to it? What you got?
I think they will be physical enough. It's just they, like he said, like Joe said, they got to be more consistent, man. Like easier said than done, but that's just what it is. Way more consistent.
Brad,
but I think we have the talent to do it.
Yeah, Brad, you know me. I'm line up with fullback or do something. You're the coach of this deal. Schematically, what do you see them doing? Let me know.
It's going to be a big question mark in terms of what they're going to change with, Rhamondre Stevenson coming back in off of suspension as of next week with the TCU game. I believe that we're going to be fine. A lot of the question marks have been the defensive line's getting not pushed. The defensive done this, but our dip and rip to the outsides contained for the most part, old little Texas quarterback, and he struggled in the game early on. And do I know if it was because of a different schematic that we were doing in the defense? I don't know. I couldn't say that for sure, but I think with the help of the suspension guys coming off, like Ronnie Perkins coming back, it could help. And then you throw, Seth McGowan is coming back off of his concussion protocol. And I think you can put a wrinkle in there with, maybe a cross-buck series with Rhamondre as a short yardage threat, but also in the backfield, some Seth McGowan and the swing patterns. And, Lincoln's already as creative as can be. So he's a lot of, things to work with, which is really exciting. And I'm excited to see a bunch of the young guys in the backfield, like a Woody Washington from the Texas game. That was just impressive. And, we're recruiting better back there with guys that are taller and more physical, and like what the other two guys said. So I think that we have a chance. Can we make the Big 12 championship still? I mean, you got to have a lot of things that work in our favor, but I do believe that it's a chance. I think the Big 12, there's so much parity that we're gonna end up beating each other up to where you may see even a TCU slip in there somehow, or an OU slip in there somehow. I mean, they've found a way to get there the last couple of years based on parity itself.
Yeah, Joe, got to ask. I mean, Brad kind of hit it on defense, but what do you think? I mean, are the guys that are out there the ones you want to keep out there? I mean, are there substitution patterns? Again, I know nobody follows the roster closer than you do.
I think when they put the young guys in there, they were hungry and wanted to step up and show what they can do because they're finally getting a chance. Pass rush is the big thing to me. It doesn't matter who you have on the back end. If the quarterback has all day, any quarterback who's worth a damn is going to pick you apart if they have 7, 8, 10 seconds to throw the ball. So we got to be more consistent with the pass rush. What we saw late in the Texas game was guys getting out wide and opening up the middle of the field, and he would take off down the field for 8, 15-yard chunks. You got to clean that up and stay in your lanes, get some pressure, and then the guys can do their thing. But I think the younger guys, Jaden Davis, I think would be good. Woody Washington played with confidence. Trey Brown's been pretty solid all year. He's given up some catches, but he's not letting people lose after the catch. So I think, again, like I said, I hope that's a springboard. They play more confident, they play a little more aggressive, and actually start catching some passes and going the other way with them.
Yeah. KP, I hate to ask, I know Bookie's the name that everybody brings up, but I mean, is there anybody else that you'd rather see out there? Is there a combination that you like? I know I've been a big fan of the Agwebu cat at linebacker, man, but is there anybody defensively that you think should stay or go?
Well, for sure. I mean, Bookie, I think he has his times when he could come in, like maybe they could have some packages for him. You know what I'm saying? But it seems like every game, if an offensive coordinator or what offensive staff is keen on this one guy back-to-back games, like it seems like common sense that you would kind of, if not find a place, like I said, package or whatever, or sub a guy in that's a little taller, a little bigger. I'm sure they're just as fast, the young guys, and work it out like that. You know what I'm saying? Because it seemed like he just get picked on every play by taller tight ends. It's a matchup problem. And it's getting exposed because everybody knows it, and we don't make adjustments.
Well, and on the flip side, I mean, if I'm an offensive coordinator, you're exactly right. I mean, that's what I'm going to do. And it's not that difficult to set a tight end here, put him in motion, make sure he's in man, and go down deep. And, you know, that's the combinations that we're going to experience. And, I mean, Brad, what do you see? Do you see us, besides from, do you think Woody Washington makes that big of a deal, an improvement for us? Do you think we have to have the Eaton cat out there as well? Let me know.
I mean, in the end, Joe is right. You got to have a push up front. Mm-hmm. And I that is the number one. Like you said, we're playing man coverage, and there's only so long those guys got. Mm-hmm. And even if you throw in a book, if you play in man coverage, a Bookie, he ain't fast enough to stay up with some of them guys that are really talented. I mean, especially in the Big 12 with the wide receivers we got. They're tall, they're fast, they're athletic. And if we don't get a push up front, which I think that's a big reason why we there with Texas in that game, a week and a half ago or 2 weeks ago. And I think that was a big part of it. We did have a push. We did have success there. But the next thing you got to ask is, how good was Texas's offensive line? Mm. If you ain't getting a push against Iowa State, you ain't getting a push against Kansas State as well in the second half, you got to question that. I mean, Texas may not be exactly what they're all cracked up to be. They may be due for a couple more losses. But then you got to ask yourself again, like I said, we're getting Ronnie Perkins back, and so Redmond was hopefully coming back, but he's going to be opting out, of course. I don't know if Woody would be a big factor. I don't know if Josh Eaton would be a big factor. I see good things from those kids in a couple of years, and nobody talks about it, but I will throw it out there, is no one probably benefits better in the Big 12 than Texas and OU. We're young. We need the time. These young kids need to get some experience.
Yeah.
A big problem for OU would be Texas and every single one of those kids that we just played saying, hey, we're coming back because we didn't want to lose. We don't want 2 losses in the very beginning of the season, and we didn't beat OU. Could they all come back? And how much bigger, faster, stronger at 23 to 24 years old will those cats be? So,
well, and that's a good point because, Joe, let me get your thoughts. But I think we're a team that kind of comes out as an 11 personnel team. And to me, it just kind of, when you had a Bob team and you had a team that was dedicated to the I formation or the run game or this and that and that and this, I mean, you felt a physicality, a mentality walking down the tunnel that to me, it just, you don't see or feel that the same. Are you comfortable, Joe, with what we scheme with, what we do? I know, again, I watched Alabama. They do some of the similar stuff to us. But Najee Harris is a little bit different than the guy we got carrying the ball.
100%.
It is what it is. But are you guys satisfied? What do you see offensively? Let me know those things.
Just go back to Buki real quick.
Yeah.
He seems to be getting the Parnell Motley treatment where he can't even breathe on a guy without a flag. Like some of those calls last week were weak as hell. But on to the point, I'd like to see, and I know circumstances kind of hamper this, I'd like to see more 2-back sets like we used to do. Run blocking, I think part of it is he seems to abandon the run a little earlier than he should at times and goes away for a while so they don't get a rhythm of really getting after guys. And then you don't see the power sets as much until we get inside the 10.
Mm-hmm.
But then also a lot of times when we do get inside the 10, he gets pass happy.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like let the guys get a rhythm and start mauling some people, and then you can lean on that, and then you can do everything else you want because you can murder people with play action. Stogner, nobody can mess with Stogner. You got talent all over the field. You hit that play action, and you can kill people.
Yeah. Well, and I think you're absolutely right. I think it just depends on who we're using as that third receiver or if it's the fullback. But, KP, what have you seen offensively? Obviously, Rattler's going to get a lot of the attention, but Joe brings up Stogner being great. Obviously, Theo Weiss has had a pretty good game. What have you seen?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think I mentioned this to you before. Like, whenever we had Baker's right around the same height as Spencer, maybe? What happened to the rollout passes that we used to do with Baker? Because he wasn't as tall as the line. All the tip passes, you know what I'm saying? If he's not able to see over the 6'3", 6'4", 6'5" guys, what happened to the rollout passes that we used to do with Baker?
Mm-hmm. Good question.
Lob it down the field. What happened to those type passes?
Good
and
question.
I'm with Joe. Like, we do abandon the run a lot. What happened to the dump offs? The more screen passes? Like, can we? Because our running backs aren't as big right now. When we get Ramondre back, it's a little different. But right now we got quicker, shiftier guys. Give them the screen passes. Can we do that? I think a lot of these offensive errors is on Lincoln this year, personally, because of the play calling. I don't know what it is. I mean, I know we're missing a lot of people, but and Lincoln's a magnificent play caller. I still love him as a coach or whatever. I'm good, but I think a lot of this on offense has to do with him this year. Maybe he has so many weapons he don't know where to go, missing a lot of pieces. He don't know where to go. So it's kind of a little bit of a both for me.
Oh, well, you great point. But quarterback, redshirt freshman, starting tailback, redshirt sophomore.
True.
Receivers, nobody really. I mean, Rambo's junior, senior, but other than that,
redshirt junior.
Mims, true freshman. Weiss, true sophomore. I mean, so you got literally no. And this is, guys, this is what we talk about. And Brad, you can talk about it with as many sports as you coach. There's a difference between a 21-year-old guy and a 17-year-old guy. You know what I mean? And this is what we run into when we play the K-States and the Iowa States of the world. But just talking about our development and things like that. But, Brad, I want to get that on the back end. But obviously I want to get your thoughts first on the offense, and then you can answer, our development on the back end.
Like previously said, I believe that I agree with Ken that we should do some 2-back sets. Not necessarily fullbacks.
Hey, man, come on. Now.
Hey, I know. Not necessarily fullbacks.
We can do that. We can split backs something. Okay, we can meet halfway. It ain't got to be I. Okay.
I think with getting, Bridges back and giving some different looks, I think we'll be better off. I'm excited to see the offense next weekend with a week off and getting those guys back and putting them in the mix. I mean, guys, I put out on like a Facebook post and a Twitter post. I don't know if it's a Twitter post, but how many injuries we actually have had. Our injuries with Hazelwood, with, the suspensions, with, Howard finally coming back as a UCLA transfer. I mean, we're banged up, and that's the brunt of us having to play so many young kids on this side of the ball. I mean, how many offensive line freshman kids do we have?
Not many. Well, you know what scares me even more, Brad, and we're around here, and Joe's up in Nebraska, you mentioned, but in KP, you're around here. None of those kids are Oklahoma kids.
Right.
Well,
we rarely talk
one's an
about
Oklahoma kid.
That's about it.
One's an Oklahoma kid.
That's it.
But he's sitting. And I love him because I coach wrestling. And
you talking about a guy from Westmore, the O-line guy from Westmore?
Yeah. Life, man.
I was a Southmore, and then he went to Westmore after I went to Southmore, but I also coached him at USA Wrestling, so Team USA.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he's a good kid. I expected big things from him. I still see big things from him, but
he's young still.
Oklahoma kid that we got to develop.
There it is. And
get him on the field.
Well, and Brad, and Joe, if you want to comment on it, it's, to me, there's been a transition, and this is why, another reason why I'm so big on us leaving conferences is because the depth in the young players is, we're not, a 5-star freshman here isn't the same as a 5-star freshman that goes to the SEC. Whether it's because they have more players around them to develop, whether it's around more, whatever, we're not seeing the same production out of a 5-star defender that we are. One, we're not seeing them come here. But then two, we've started to see the decline in pass coverage, the decline in hard hits, the decline in elite pass rushers, run stoppers at the DN position. I could go on and on, but I mean, I'm trying to be nice to the kids. But go ahead, Brad. I know you had a point.
You're seeing a decline in probably hitting in a lot just because of the way the game is going.
Targeting and all that.
Yeah. I mean, coaches are coaching them up in practice to not get them ejected. And that's the true fact. I mean, I've been told this a couple of times, from various different people. They're pretty good sources, I think. But they said they're teaching them, that hawk tackling and not to lead with a blindside hit because it's an argumentative call that you're see ya. And I think kids are, we're not hitting in practice as much. I mean, with the injury situations and COVID right now, they're losing players like it's a religion. Yeah. I mean, they're losing players like crazy.
Yeah. And
so they don't know. I was like, all right, so do we hit today and wrap up, or do we go in and go crazy out? Oh, well, 24 kids tomorrow. Oh, okay, well, I got to slip in the freshman. I mean, it's a tough time to play football right now for any university, any college, any high school, any junior high.
Yeah,
I mean, shoot, I've lost a couple kids, and I've actually had to evaluate and say, do we hit today? Or do we just wrap up? Do we go and hit low? I mean,
it's tough. It's tough.
Like I played JD the other night, and he had a freaking huge running back. And I said, no, we got to hit. I said, we got to hit. This kid's going to truck us. And so we had to teach the kids to hit low. And it's a hard call for a head coach. Like I can see Lincoln. I mean, shoot. One test, negative. Yeah. All right, 24 kids out because he tackled that kid. I mean, that's the problem right now.
Do y'all feel like with like you were saying, with the hit low thing, y'all think that NFL, college, high school, y'all think that's the reason why more ACL injuries and all that knee injuries are happening because of those rule changes?
That's part of it.
Like guys don't want to hit high, that they rather hit low, or you know what I'm saying, to avoid those targetings and all those ticky-tack things.
I just to piggyback off what you said is I'd rather kids hit low and this is gonna sound, I don't want to try to sound bad.
But no, I mean it's better to have an ACL than a concussion. I'm with you.
I don't want kids.
True.
I don't want kids to ever have an injury at all. No kid, because I
Right.
want them to succeed. I want them to develop. I want them to be better.
Yeah.
But this is forever.
For sure.
And so I would rather see a kid go play football and actually get hurt, but that's healable. Is it going to have maybe some some scar tissue and some walking funny in the future as an old man? But yeah, maybe so. But his mind is going to be good forever.
Well,
Right.
And CTE is a real thing. I mean, my cousin's got some of it, and he's sometimes he goes, "Yeah, Brad. Sometimes I get like a headache or something like that." And I said, "Well, you're a fullback. I mean, JD can understand.
right.
I'm sure he's got some of it too."
Hopefully, we'll see. But Joe, I want to get your thoughts on the development stuff, man. Just because again, you've been following OU football forever, so let me know what you thought on has there been a decline since BV left, since Mike had left? What have you thought since then? Just let me know overall.
I think the mentality is just different with kids these days. You look at back in the day, a couple decades ago, you had, in my opinion, you had more kids who, I want to go to Oklahoma because it's Oklahoma. I want to go to Miami or USC or Notre Dame because it's that school. Where nowadays it's, where can I get on TV? Where can I get nice gear? Where do I have a potential chance to start and get to the league? I think the difference too with kids is you have to recruit for the mindsets of, look at Adrian Peterson. Adrian Peterson was that rare guy who, of course, his competition in high school is going to look like a bunch of bums because he's that good. You get like you were saying with 5 stars, you get a 5-star kid who's played against a bunch of lower level competition versus a 5-star who's played against other 4 and 5s his whole life. The difference when you get to the D1 level stands out. So I think to me, it's mindset. I was never anti-Mike like a lot of the fans were. If he left, that was fine because sometimes you need to change. But people say, well, he's not putting the kids in position to make plays. If you miss a tackle, you were in position, you just didn't make the tackle.
Man.
If it's a 50-50 ball and you don't break it up or intercept it and he catches it, you were in position, you just didn't make a play.
Man.
So how many times have we seen, okay, guy gets hit 5 yards in the backfield, but he misses. 3 yards later, another guy shows up, he misses. Or we hit a guy 2 yards short of first down and he drags 3 people for 5 yards. You're in position to make a play, you're just not making it. Some stuff's on the kids, some stuff's on the coaches.
No, it's real. That's absolutely real. Again, man, I just don't know. I go back to, and I've said this, you and I, especially Joe and Brad, you've heard me say it many a times. I feel like moving conferences gives us a chance at better defenders. I feel like it gives us a chance at guys who are a different. When I watch Alabama and Georgia the other night, I mean, I see dudes colliding. I see guys being hard to get 2 and 3 yards. I see it being difficult. I've seen the same results when we get to bowl games. It seems to me, tackle to tackle, that we've got to either change that mentality or we got to change the players. What do you think?
I feel I'm with you. I think we do need to move conferences, but do you think that will make a big difference in us getting those guys? Because we are considered the South or whatever. Yeah. Do you think that we could get those guys out of Georgia to come here, out of Florida to come here?
It wouldn't be the elites, but the only way to me you're making a roster change like that is if you're playing in those teams' backyard. If it's not they're not going to travel to Iowa to watch their family play, but they will travel to Louisiana to watch their family play. I mean, we're seeing that already. And for me, just the stability. I'll just get to the point. I think COVID has exposed a lot of people who got money and who don't. People who playing football got bread. People who ain't got money ain't playing, right? Mm-hmm. So it to me, it's about our schools, our programs' stability over the next 20, 25 years. I do not see recruiting changing and an influx of top-notch recruits coming to this league. I see
feel like
a demographic that's been broken up. Sorry, but I see a demographic that's been broken up into barely getting Dallas kids, whereas we used to dominate Houston. We're barely getting Dallas kids. What do you think?
I feel like we should already be getting those guys. Now, I don't know if it's coaching. I don't know what it is. I mean, recruiting or what it is, but I feel like we should already be getting those guys because of our stability in the past.
Brad's
you see what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Like we should already be getting them.
Well, it's that, and that's why I do those roster breakdowns. A lot of the rosters are kids that are already in their state. You know, it's kids. The big fight is Georgia and Florida for the other top talent. Clemson is half South Carolina kids. Georgia is like 95%, 98% Georgia kids. You know, Alabama is going to be 50% Alabama kids. LSU is going to be 60% Louisiana kids. Ohio State's going to be 6% Ohio kids. And that,
I think
guys, is where I think we struggle. Go ahead, Joe.
I think we still get pretty solid defensive ends for the most part, but our struggle's been defensive tackle.
Man.
And I think the sway there is the change in the conference, where it used to be pretty much a power conference. We're now outside of Kansas State, Iowa State to a degree. Everybody's kind of spread. And those defensive tackles say, hey, we can go to the Big 12 and have to run around for 80, 100 plays left and right, up and down all over the place. Or we can go to the Big 10 or the SEC where we can just get after a guy and stuff a run and do all that and not be on the field for 1,000 plays every game. So I think that's part of it there. And then we kind of adjusted. DV kind of did it to a degree where we started adjusting the type of linebackers we got to compete with people going 4 and 5 wide all over the place. And that's part of it too. But my thing really, it comes down to effort and tackling. You look at when the defense was playing really well last year and how we started this year, guys were swarming to the ball, and that makes a difference. If 2 or 3 or 4 guys get there, you can maybe slip off a guy or do something because you got backup. When you're not swarming and playing with effort, then everything looks bad because that first guy misses and there's nobody there for 5 yards, and that's what impacts the plays. I think they have the talent to be better than we have, but again, it comes down to consistency and effort.
Brad, you hold up the money symbol, and I'm guessing it wasn't for Johnny Manziel, so let me know your thoughts.
It's no hidden agenda. It happens. It happens everywhere.
Let them know.
It happens everywhere.
Let them know.
And we've got to be naive to not think it happens at home too somewhere. And maybe not even with the university itself, but everybody gets help somewhere.
For sure.
Whether it's donors or whether it's just gonna happen. I mean, but either if it's a meal, like go take a kid out to dinner or something. I mean, it just happens. You know, a lot of things people also say is, you know, oh, we're going to change to a 4-3 to get some defensive linemen. Bull crap. That ain't it either. It's because you see a lot of teams switch into a 3-4. You see a lot of them. They're like, all right, I'm saving some defensive ends. I'm saying I'll switch my 5 technique to a 0, and I'm gonna go play football. And it happens, and it's a 3-4. A lot of the places, the majority of teams are playing a 3-4 now. And I mean, I don't know if a 4-3 would help much OU. I don't think so either. I think a 3-4 is still perfect. One, there ain't as many athletic big guys anymore. You know what I mean? I mean,
schematically, Brad, what people need to hear is those 3 guys are eventually going to cause a double. 2 of them are going to cause a double team.
Yeah.
5. They've got 5 blockers. You got 2 linebackers back there, 2 or 3 to cover them. So you're fine.
And play football, but it's like Joe said. Dude's got to wrap up. Those linebackers got to wrap up.
Yeah.
And we that's where we're struggling a little bit. I mean, have we recruited well on that position? Yeah. I mean, not bad. We're getting some 4-star athletes, but it also goes back to what you said. Alabama's going to have a majority of Alabama players. Clemson's going to have a lot of South Carolina players. Florida's going to have a lot of Florida players. Oklahoma high school football is trash compared to.
Hey,
it's a true story. I hate it.
I'm glad you said it.
It's the truth. It's not very good compared.
Right now, we're not. In the spread, I've said it for years, but the spread has really hurt Oklahoma because it's taken you got one side of the ball players. You got them playing out of position certain times. It kills your D-line because you don't have as many D linemen. Bottom line, when I look at Alabama and Georgia last night, Okay, I saw D linemen pushing people into the quarterback. I saw people struggling to get 2 yards at times, named Najee Harris. Now, granted, he started breaking through and all those things, but I mean, the only thing you saw negative, if you ask me, from Georgia's defense was their safeties getting isolated on an island by some elite wide receivers. And they were probably so worried about the run game that, I mean, we also got Waddle and Devontae over there. So, but might want to tackle Najee first. But, guys, I just think, again, I think the bigger bodies, I think the better tackling, like Joe said, I think it's filling our roster with kids who don't get to go to Alabama or LSU or Georgia or Florida. I think that's them. I think that's where we need to go. And, again, when we stack up, when we play these teams, the scary thing to me is the size differential. And you look in the NFL, and everybody's building these squads based off that. What do you think, Joe?
To me, it's like I said, mostly it's mentality. You got to find the kid who says, I want to go to Oklahoma because I want to be the reason they start playing great defense, versus the kid who thinks, I want to go to Oklahoma because their defense stinks and I think I might be able to start. I want the guy who wants to be a game changer and make a difference. And you look at your time there, or the 2000s on, them dudes wanted to murder people.
Oh man.
And it was a mindset. People talk about size. Derek Strait was what, 5'8", 5'9"? Had Roy Williams in his hip pocket for 4 years because he wanted to. And that was his mindset. I'm going to shut you down and there's nothing you can do about it. Torrance Marshall, Rocky, all them guys were just murdering people because that was the mindset they had. Now, also, you didn't want to show up to the next practice and have to deal with the consequences of being out there BSing. But still, you have to have the mentality that you want to be great and you're going to be great no matter what nobody does about it.
Man.
And all those kids were Oklahoma kids. A lot of them were. For the most part, a lot of them were. So, boys, let's go ahead and take a little guess on this. How many teams do you think in Oklahoma right now are ranked nationally in the top 50?
Not very many. If any.
Just take a guess. Don't look. Take a guess.
Like high school or what?
Yeah, high school.
I'd say one. I'd say one.
Okay. What do you think, Joe?
I don't know.
He's like, I'm Nebraska, baby. I live here. I don't know.
I feel there's not too many.
James, JD said Bigsby. What? Okay, it is Bigsby. What ranking do you think?
Close to 40.
Yeah, I would toward the bottom 50.
49.
Barely made it.
It kind of shows you.
Yeah.
I kind of looked it up thinking that maybe BA might be like right around the 25, 26, 27 mark. I was like, oof, they're not even ranked. So, and I know we pull a lot of kids out of BA. So we got to get better high school wise.
We need that next Gerald McCoy.
Agreed.
Man, I was just going to say, so now, Brad, you're a football coach. So let's talk about it. I mean, how easy is it to put your biggest, best guy at D tackle and just say, hey, go chase the ball and now we'll play blah, blah, blah. Or
shoot, I have a kid that is humongous.
Right.
As an A player that's as big as some of the high school players right now.
Right.
You can't just line him up at a certain spot and say, go play football. I mean, he's smart. He's a 5 tech with a good outside release and hand release, but you can't just put him anywhere. You gotta put him to a certain spot, coach him up, and make him good at that position. So that way, a team like an OU can give him looks. If you put him anywhere and everywhere, what does that say to OU? They're like, oh well, we seen him at a 0, but he plays a 5. I mean, you gotta develop a kid at one position to make him better. So that way, it continually has growth, and I think that's my opinion.
Yeah, for
technique is huge, because you look at Brock Lesnar when he tried out for the Vikings. Now that dude is one of the most ridiculous physical specimens in the history of mankind. Absolute freak, but he hadn't played football since high school, and that was the difference. Strength, speed, quickness, explosive, everything you want in a guy, but he didn't make it because he hadn't played in so long and didn't have the technique of guys who've been doing it consistently. So just throwing people anywhere because they're athletic isn't always going to get you the results you want.
For me, what we're seeing, guys, is a depth at the elementary, junior high. Brad, you mentioned it. You go to Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Florida, you will see better D tackle play early on. You will see bigger guys along the high school football, like you said. Dude, you saw it with Louisiana when they put the high school game on the other night with Archie Manning's son or grandson or something like that. I don't know if any of y'all watched any of these games. These kids are monsters. They got tight ends not even getting recruited that are 6'5", 6'6". You know, I'm following a bunch of the recruiting guys and looking at them, and they're like, oh, yeah, we're going to add this guy to a profile this week, and, you know, he's probably going to get offers and blah, 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 blah. But you're just seeing the depth and the amount of kids and the amount of players in certain positions. That, to me, is what's scary. When we start seeing Oklahoma spread so far out, I thought Galley was a great player. We had to go to Canada for him. Dylan Fa'amatu, we had to go to, you know, he's a small kid. You know, we're having to go so far, you know, and we're getting a few from Jinx and Union here and there. But are they the guys that we used to get?
Do you guys have a high military presence there with the kids, that turnover and people moving and coming and going so much? Do you think that plays a part?
I mean, maybe.
No, I don't think so. No, I don't think so.
Joe, it boils down to the spread. I say it again. I mean, Brad, you and I coach younger kids in Little League. We don't, Joe, in the old days, when we lined up for football practice, the two positions that had the most people were linemen and tight ends and like fullbacks. Nobody was at receiver. Now, when you go to football practice, the most populated position groups are wide receiver, running back, quarterback. There's like few linemen. I mean, depending on where you are, especially like a lot of places are like that. And so you're not getting the big kids that walk around that used to be just the grinders. I want to play football. I want to tackle people. I want to do this. It's not like that anymore. It's hard. I mean, those kids are rare, and it's few and far between. And I would imagine.
Are you just not seeing kids built like that, or are they doing other stuff like wrestling and just switching and or just not wanting to play?
Hey,
I think it's all the above.
the only reason I'm getting somewhat good big kids is I'm having to develop it.
Yeah.
I'm getting these little short, like Oompa Loompa like kids that don't have much muscle, and I'm getting them into wrestling. And they're having to do 50 push-ups a day. They're doing 10 pull-ups a day, whether they have to do it by themselves or they're doing it with help. And that's kind of what's helped my 8th grade this year, I think. One of my junior high teams. 7th grade, we weren't that strong at all. And I told them all, I was like, come out, just get a workout. If you like it, stick with it. And they're starting to look the part. They're starting to get physical. They're starting to have that confidence. I think we need, more players that want. I mean, because honestly, we're not getting. It's like you said, the kids are not being as big. They're not as big. They really aren't.
And then KP will tell you, because, and I hate to call you out like this, but Southmore is the king. They seem like one of the kings of this. I look out at the basketball court at Southmore. He's already shaking his head. Why are those kids not playing football? You know, where's the 3 sport athletes? The 2 back in the day, the star football was the star basketball was the star track. You come to the football game like, oh, I'm gonna go watch this kid in basketball, and he's not even out there. Or vice versa, you come to basketball. KP,
it's crazy because when you say that, because I stopped playing football in the 8th grade. The only reason why I stopped is because I was too small, too skinny, and I knew that. That's because I stopped. But all my friends, they played football, basketball, or ran track. Running backs were on the basketball team, probably started. On the track team, probably fast. Three sport athletes, they did all of that. But I don't know, JD. I can't answer. I can't answer
like,
to
this
you.
Kid's dunking however he wants. Surely he plays receiver. Like, he don't play nothing.
I don't get it. I don't know if they're not being pushed to play. I don't know if they just. I don't know what it is. I really don't. Because like you said,
well, and it's part of it. Blame me. I'll partially take the blame because I'm gonna put that kid's hand in the ground, and I mean, at some point he's got to block somebody. He's not just
Yeah.
going to catch the ball every play. Okay, so you may have to come in and play tight end. You may have to come play D end. You may have to come play outside linebacker, whatever. But go ahead, Brad. Go ahead.
Part of the reason why you're not seeing a lot of kids transition to high school football is the relationship they have with the high school football coach. It's a true story.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a relationship with that, if the junior high coach has a relationship with the high school coach and they're doing things together, I mean, like this, I mean, right now, I mean, me and Coach, Williams over at Westmore have a pretty good relationship, and we have the same philosophy. I mean, he's like, I need to get as many kids into the wrestling room as I can. Coach Dick, you got to recruit as many football players as you can. And I said, I agree. Let's work together on it. Right now, and this is, I can say this because I coached at Southmore. I did, Mr. I don't know if you knew that. I coached wrestling at Southmore for about a year, and they didn't have that relationship, with Jeremy Stark and with, it was not until, Jeremy's last year when that started developing. I don't know if, Coach Norman has done that yet as with basketball and wrestling, but they need to get over there and start getting that relationship together, is because these two sports will go hand in hand.
Yeah.
Go hand in hand.
Well, the competitiveness and the chance of scholarships, the athletic, keeping your kids in school, keeping them going from one to the next. But for me, Brad, it's your athletes are getting exposure, and so you're limiting. Go ahead.
And I'll tell you what, Southmore's got some horses. Boys.
Oh yeah.
Hey, I've coached a lot of those offensive linemen, the defensive linemen over at Southmore. When I was at Southridge, a lot of the starters now are from Southridge, and then the young kids at Highland West, they're just now going to be our freshmen right now, are probably getting some looks. I don't know, Kendall, are they getting some looks?
Yeah, they're just now starting to get the looks. Yeah.
Yeah, but they're talented young men over there, and I'm excited for Coach Norman. But
let's head back to OU football, Joe. Let's finish up with just what are you looking for this season? What's your expectation to end this year? Just let me know all that.
I think if they use that as a key point and get their focus right, they can beat everybody that's left on their schedule. But if we see what we've seen, the second half of K-State, second half of Iowa State, they can easily lose 3-4 more games. So to me, are you going to show up and play to your ability and do what you need to do the rest of the way, or are we going to keep seeing these lapses? And like you were saying, kind of with Lincoln, you can expect at least once a game he's going to get cute at the most inopportune time. And like I said, abandoning the run and doing some stuff. The thing they did with Jalen last year, where they would do the fake quarterback sweep, and if they came up, he'd pop back and hit a guy over the middle wide open. I think you can still do stuff like that because Rattler and Mordecai can both run well enough where you have to honor it. Like KP said, with the bootlegs and the rollouts, fake a play to the left, bootleg out to the right, have Rambo come across. Because to me, if he's not running a post, he's worthless.
Don't make him run left and right. Please don't make him do it.
But he ain't got no shape.
Yeah.
No.
Not making nobody miss. So let that dude do what he does and let everybody else work the middle and work the crosses and drags and all that stuff. Open stuff up, be aggressive, play with confidence. When you get 4th and 1 at the 5-inch line, let them go for it. If you don't get it, so what? Show some confidence in the guys. Let them build some confidence in themselves and start attacking people.
Got to. KP, what you think?
I think, like I said earlier, I think Lincoln just got to get more in tune with the guys that he has right now, or the guys that are coming back. He kind of already knows those guys, but the guys that's been playing all year, you need to get more in tune with those guys, tailor the offense more to those guys, and just get in the flow of the game sooner rather than later. You know what I'm saying? Like, obviously I'm not offensive coordinator or whatnot, but I'm just going by stuff that I see. Like stuff like that, I don't understand. You know what I'm saying? Like the rollout passes. Can we get back to that stuff? Like why are we doing reverses on 3rd and 5, 3rd and 7? You know what I'm saying? and the power game, whenever we get inside the 10, I get nervous. Like I feel like we're not going to punch it in. Like I think Joe said, we get pass happy, down low, we get out of it too soon. And I'm with you. Give it to the fullback on.
Let's go.
You know what I'm saying? 4th and 1, where we got to go for it. You know what I'm saying? Like we got.
When's the last time you saw a fullback dive?
We saw he gave him one and it got stuffed. But the thing is, Joe, you can get creative with it though. Right?
Yeah.
You can get creative with that stuff, bro. You really can. I mean, he caught 2 touchdowns in one game against Iowa State or something like that. And I'm with you. It's just power pass on the goal line, and we get pass happy. But dude, you can get creative with that stuff. You could offset my bro and give it to him on the backside when you do those types of things. I mean,
why can't we use 27 like
49ers use what you call it?
Yeah. Like why can't we get back to that? Like why can't we get back to those things that we know that worked in the past? We know they got our fullback H-backs in the league. Why can't we get back to that?
And Brad, before you go, I'm gonna toss it to you. But again, you coach football. I mean, the only other option is to go 3 or 4 wide against teams that are probably going to have guys that can cover us with the injuries that we have. Let me know.
Man, I would much rather. I know, with all respect to you guys, I know you want to see some rollout passes. I want to see our boys stay in the pocket for a couple of reasons. One, we get a little more RPO. I mean, you roll out, you lose a lot of that RPO. I mean, yeah, Rattler can go, run or pass with his legs. I mean, how many yards you won't get off that? I mean, the kids are too fast these days, man. Those DBs are going to be in the space within 2 or 3 yards. And if you stay in that pocket, you get more of a RPO. You get more of the ability to use your H-back or fullback. And you got more options there. And that shows also a little confidence in your offensive line.
Yeah.
And I want to see him stay in there. And I don't want to see a whole lot of rollout. Rollout does one thing for him, in my opinion. It does take one half of the field away where he can just focus. But if we really truly are trying to stick with the offense that Lincoln completely has on his plate, you got to keep him in the pocket and let him play. Yeah, he's got the arm strength. He's got the knowledge. Is his confidence probably there yet? Maybe not. But by him staying in that pocket, it also gives the offensive line a lot of credibility.
Right. I'm not saying roll out like 50% of the time. I'm just saying at the opportune times, maybe things aren't going right your way. Maybe it's a 2nd and 7, and we know we can we have some room to do some things. Roll out, let him make some choices like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and
I wanted to ask you guys about that too with the offensive line. Do you think the offensive line, early on, it looked like they were playing poor, but do you guys think they were actually playing as bad as it seemed, or was he bailing early because he wasn't comfortable in the pocket?
I'll go ahead and take it. From what I have gathered, a lot of it was him getting a little happy feet. That's what I've gathered. And I think
the ball underhand. I mean, so
yeah. And I've heard that Lincoln and him had a little talk about staying in there a little bit longer. Trust your line. It shows a lot. I wasn't a lineman, but I know that if I'm a lineman and I got my quarterback back there, there's something going through my head. Like I've got to protect him. It makes him block a little bit longer. You get that rollout. Well, he's got the ball away. He's rolling out. Okay. Well, I'm just gonna maybe a half a second less than him staying back there and trying to protect a little bit longer. I don't know necessarily that the productivity of the offensive line has decreased, but maybe the communication up front has, and the youth. I mean, look at this. We started Andrew Ray.
When you're judging by 17 and 18, I think it's kind of tough too, because those were really damn good lines. So I think last year they were better too than we gave them credit for. I think Jalen sometimes drifted into trouble when they were actually blocking pretty well. But like I said, I can do without Swinson, but other than that, I think they've been better than we've probably given them credit for.
Rain Harrison, starting freshman. True freshman, right?
I mean, we're having trouble getting movement. Those guys are playing older guys. To me, I mean, yeah, it's a sign of playing younger guys. Is you keep it simple, which we don't run much besides outside zone, and you don't get much movement or knockdowns because those guys are veteran and seeing. And the thing that kind of scares me is when we don't get movement, guys get off of our blocks and make tackles a lot easier, or we get to those guys make one-on-one tackles a lot easier, close gaps in the safety run game. I think this team really needs Ramondre back because our inside run game has been very, very lacking. I mean, they haven't been able to break really anything, but I think a lot of it's been O-line. I mean, Georgia does, and I go back to that game. Georgia wedge blocks so well. I mean, it's fantastic. I mean, I haven't seen people move Alabama like that. Granted, Ole Miss had a game against them, but Georgia just flat out, that first half just came right at them, wedge blocked, didn't do much, just scary, just push them backwards. And I haven't seen – I would like to see that out of our team, Joe. I really would. I would like to see some set or some way for us to just push people around. Do we have that? I'm sure we do.
I think we do.
Go ahead.
I think we do have those sets. You know what I'm saying? I don't know why we aren't using them. Like, I think Brad said the two backs. What happened to the two running back sets with Samaje and Joe? What happened to that? Those guys took turn blocking for each other. You know what I'm saying? What happened to that?
We ain't got Samaje and Joe.
This is true. This is true. But
we got Ramondre Stevenson and 185-pound Seth McGowan.
But I believe in Lincoln. I know he's creative enough to come up with something. You know what I'm saying? Like something.
What it is, KP. Go ahead, Joe. Go ahead.
I'd like to see Marcus Major get more work. I don't know if he's got practice habits or his pass protection is a little suspect or what the deal is, because it seems with Lincoln that's kind of his thing with running backs. If you can't pass block or if you do this or that or you're not secure with the ball, you're not going to get a lot of touches. But I'd like to see him get more work.
My opinion is it's quick. They like the quickness, man. Pledger is very, very quick. I got to give it to him.
Yeah.
Quick between the tackles, quick with the handoffs, veteran type deal. And I think Marcus just got to get his feet underneath him. But I'm definitely with you. Would love to see him. But I also think that OCs can overthink themselves. What KP is saying is, hey, put two guys out there, and as an OC, just some of the things that they would say, oh man, well, both of those guys aren't great receivers, and this and that and that. It's like, dude, just put it out there so we can see it, experiment, try it, see how it works. Okay, yeah, this guy may not be this. We'll try to put McGowan on a swing and try to put that guy on a quick flat. Use what they are good at. Use those things. Go ahead.
I like the two-back set because the defense can't key on one guy. That's why it was so successful with Samaje and Joe, because both of them can hurt you. You can't just say, oh, Joe's going to get it or Samaje's going to get it. You don't know. Or even if you want to throw some diamond in there, put Hall back there with a couple guys, and you got three options. And you got Hall is a great catcher out of the backfield, and he can run the ball well. He's hard to tackle.
Does it all.
Use so many more options. Just give guys different looks, at least, if nothing else.
Well, and the other thing, before you go, Brad, I wanted to say that, to me, when you throw two backs out there, especially the I formation, I'll just make a theory. Nothing gets a defense to show their cards quicker than the I formation. You can line up in 2x2 or trips. There's 70 million defenses they can line up in. Your ass line up in the I formation, you better get lined up quick, because if we run power and block it right, it's a touchdown. So you're not going to be lining up in a million different defenses. You're going to be lining up in one of about two or three things. That's it. And it's, can you stop it? Go ahead, Brad.
I think if you wanted to do a personnel look with a two-back, we say Marcus Majors is, we'd love to see him with more touches, and I would as well. But TJ Pledger was recruited by OU for one purpose: swinging patterns. He is a kid that could catch it.
Yes.
And so you get Ramondre back, and you throw in, on one side you put Marcus in there, and you put McGowan in there, and then you got Ramondre as a fresh set of legs. And then you've got to keep in Pledger as the other threat, just because of his hands. He's got good hands, and we don't really have that in a running back right now other than Pledger. And I think that's the reason why he's getting the looks and the number ones over Marcus. I don't think there's not a lot of difference talent-wise. Both kids are great and talented. But I do believe that TJ has that more, a little bit ability than Marcus, because Marcus is a powerful kid. JD knows he can bulldoze kids and players.
Just young.
But
Hitting those holes. Yeah, it's tough, Brad. You know how it is, brother. You throw a new guy in there, they're either outside quick or they're cramming it in the hole. I mean, there's not much advance, and I love Marcus to death, but hell, even his run, he was so damn excited to get the end zone, he almost ran out of bounds. It seemed like, so it is what it is, but those things come with time.
I was happy to see it. I was in the stands in Texas.
Me too.
And I was excited and happy to see, his first, big, contribution. And this kid deserves it, man. He
works. We need to see more Oklahoma kids out there, guys.
I'm with it.
We really do. We need to see more. And I think, KP, when we talked about moving SEC, I think that solidifies. If we're playing big games each week, Georgia, LSU, Florida, the kids in Oklahoma want to come here. We lost a kid to A&M, bruh. I mean, we lost a kid to A&M. You can say whatever we like about it, but, I mean, A&M's up and coming. They're looking
Michigan.
good right now. Michigan, Ohio State.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean,
it's with all due respect, I don't know how much of a difference it's going to make.
Really?
Yeah, and because you look at it, if OU goes to the SEC, what if we have a season that is 4-8?
Yeah,
it could happen.
No, you're absolutely
with the
right.
Players and talent that they have. We could be the Mississippi State of the SEC. Now, what would that do to the credibility of OU?
Great question.
What would that do? Except be like, oh, do I know if I want to go here, or do I have the option of the SEC to go to A&M?
Now, in the flip side, let me throw that at you. On the flip side, we can't do any worse than A&M. I mean, we can't do.
No,
any
you're
worse.
not wrong.
We can't do any worse than A&M. So
no, you're not wrong.
So,
but
I would say we're even if we are a 500 team, though, Brad, and even if it takes us a few years to rebuild and reprogram and do all those things, I think we're much better suited stacking our lines, stacking our depth with those kids instead of forcing our coaches to be in 23 different states. I feel like that just puts too big of a job on them. Go ahead, Joe.
To me, that's the difference. It's the D line. I think offensively we can compete with anybody, but the difference you see when we play like LSU and some of these teams, we end up putting up points and moving the ball, but we usually get out of the gate a little slow. And the difference, for the most part, is in the Big 12, you don't have DBs up in your face 2 and 3 yards off the ball all the time. So when you face a team who's going to man and press up on you, it's an adjustment. You have defensive lines who can get after it. Where there's guys, K-State always has a couple guys, TCU always has a couple guys, et cetera, up front who are a problem, but the consistency across the board you don't see all the time. So it takes our offense a little while to get out of the gate, just like Alabama in the playoffs and LSU in the playoffs. We finally started doing some stuff and getting the rhythm. But our defensive line is the struggle.
You said across the board, Joe. And Brad, you hinted at it earlier. When we were great, early 2000s, you had not 1, not 2, but 3 areas. You had Oklahoma, Texas, and then anywhere else that you could go for anybody across the board. You had linemen from Oklahoma, linemen from Texas, linemen from other places. You had linebackers from Oklahoma, linebackers from Texas, linebackers from other places. You had DBs from Oklahoma, DBs from Texas, DBs from other places. Right now, I feel like the first 2 are lacking so bad. Like we used to look at, Joe, we used to be excited about the top players from Texas. They're not coming here like that. I'll scare people even more. And Adrian Peterson came here for a reason. He knew we had top talent, first-round draft picks, Heisman Trophy winner. We checked every box, not only just defensively, but offensively, special teams, that whole deal. But he knew that he was stepping into an offense that could win him a Heisman Trophy, blocking that could do that. Can we go sit in the kid and the number 1 running back in the nation's house right now and guarantee him the things that we used to guarantee them? I don't think we can.
like you said, with the depth, you had Tommy Harris, you had Dusty, you had the McCoys, those type of guys. But after them, you didn't have people who were quite at that level, but your Lynn Magruders, et cetera, were all very damn solid to where it wasn't such a drastic drop-off. If you look at Ronnie Perkins, we're all excited to get him back. Why? Because we know that kid's a problem.
Right.
But after you get past him, and if Redmond was playing, after you get past those cats, you're not sure. Winfrey looks like he's finally getting up to speed with this level of competition, and he's starting to do what they expected him to do. But you need guys all across that line who are impact guys, and if not necessarily top tier, they at least are solid enough where you're not worried about putting them in.
Yep. Go ahead, Brad.
I don't think we're dropped off the board offensively. We're still getting this, studs offensively. And we know we're about to get, if you talk about OU football recruiting, here in this next class, we're about to get about 3 more studs in the next month. We're going to get the number 1 recruit running back in the nation. We're about to get another, and I don't know if you know this, the Florida State transfer is about to come to OU, who's borderline 5-star. His name's, God, I can't even remember the kid's name.
What position?
It's like Maxwell or something. But he's going to be DJ Matthews. Sorry, DJ Matthews. Matthews is almost a 5-star receiver out of Florida State, transferred to OU. I mean, he's 100% OU. We're still getting the offensive recruits, guys. We still got kids wanting to come to OU offensively. The biggest question is, I'm going to go ahead and throw old number 38's name out there, and he's going to say, we need defensive recruits, Brad.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
So, that's the truth. He's not wrong in that. We don't have the guys wanting to just jump ship and come to OU for defense.
The guys that develop for the 5-star guys that develop into top 10 picks. I think our fan base gets so mad at me, the ones that I haven't blocked, Joe. They get so mad at me because they think we can develop these things. And I try to tell them, Gerald McCoy and Tommy, we knew what they were coming out of high school. We kept them for 3 or 4 years, and they went on to do the same thing. They were 5-stars there. They went and been first-round draft picks. Well, that's what LSU and Bama and those guys are doing. And the gap between having a guy who – Galley was great, who's, third round? The gap between having a third-round guy and having a guy like Quinnen that goes top 3 is huge, huge, especially when you're talking about teams that have just been funneling these guys in and out. Clemson's not going anywhere with these guys. They're not. BV got a guy KP coming in 360 pounds. This is like a junior or senior.
Look at all the guys Clemson's lost the last couple of years, and then you watch them step out on their Saturday, and you'd never even know they lost anybody.
But we wanted to let go of Venerables.
Yeah, well, I think BV saw BV on the same hand that I can say something great about him. Recruiting Ronell, finding him from Dewar, and going and getting Austin Box out of Enid, and going and getting all these other guys out of small towns of Oklahoma. I would imagine that shit gets tiring, y'all. I would imagine when you're chasing guys from Class A to 6A and from far East Texas to far South to far North. I mean, I would imagine he went to South Carolina and saw, look, I could just go recruit this smaller state and be fine because they've got D-line linebackers here and there, and then maybe I can go over to North Carolina. They've got some guys. We'll get Florida and Georgia later.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't sound that difficult, but, I mean, around here it sounded like it was just starting to get too difficult for him. It sounded like the talent was dropping off and it was getting too difficult for him to just find these gems in rare places.
Go back and look at his defenses, though. People act like he fell off the face of the earth at Oklahoma before he left, but you look at it, say past 04. 05 was actually pretty good. They were just young. Reggie was a true freshman. Nick was a true freshman. DJ Wolf playing cornerback for the first time. But they developed into a pretty solid defense. 06 wasn't really that bad. 07 was decent. 08, they kind of struggled because of the way that offense ran. It was tough, an adjustment. '09 was a really damn good defense, except for the Texas Tech game.
Right.
So they weren't really, everybody act like they were terrible ever since '04, and they weren't. I think he probably could have righted the ship, but when they brought Mike back, he was like, okay, now I got to play half and half instead of being my defense again. And he was like, let me get a change of scenery and go elsewhere. And like you said, now he can walk out the door of the university and spin around in a circle and get 7 guys.
Yep.
What's the difference between OU now than Venables 0405? No, I mean, not 05. I'm sorry. Before he left, right before he left when we let him go. What's the difference?
I mean, we're struggling a little bit with pass coverage, but
That's what we did.
Hey, we've been doing that.
Right.
That's what we were doing with him. I mean, there's no difference.
Yeah, the difference to me is aggression. BV was more aggressive, and that's the thing. When they had Stryker, they attacked. When they had Oboe, they attacked. You give me that 2017 offense with that Sugar Bowl defense that played against Auburn, I'll take that all day. We stopped being aggressive and stopped attacking for some reason.
Fullback was in the game a lot. RPO. No, you seriously though, Brad. RPO worked. KP, you said the same thing.
Yes.
You got to throw it in there.
But it sets your mentality as a team. So you can run block the same with the ability that you can with pass game. So it makes you balanced. It sets a tone for your defense. So your defense knows, hey, every day we got to come stop the run. When you're practicing them, Brad, every day, hey, are we tackling? Damn, we got to tackle these guys today. Let me buckle up. I mean, that competition's good for you. Go ahead.
I think a good fullback is back there is good, but you know what has really helped us as of late? Guard pull.
Yeah. OU does that. They try that.
And it was successful in the Texas game.
OU tries that. Biggest thing in this, when LSU's going to throw out a 350-pounder. So we have to be able to either single block or double team this guy all night. And
Team
that's
low.
the issue that we're running into.
3 or 4 of them.
Bingo.
Yeah.
3 or 4.
No doubt.
Yep.
Go low, baby. Go low.
Go low.
3 or 4.
Crack
Yeah.
it.
So that's the issue that we're running into. Guys, it's been amazing. Hey, let's plan on doing this again when the season's over. After we won the Big 12 championship, I'm not going to make any predictions other than that. Yeah. Let's just see that 6 in a row. Hey, man, I appreciate you guys being great fans. Appreciate you guys.
Appreciate
being
you.
homies. Yeah, no doubt. I can't wait to share this with other fans, man. But like I said, I appreciate all you guys, and you guys have always been cool with me. So much love, and
Nice meeting everybody, and thanks for having
Y'all
me
too.
on.
Appreciate it.
Boomer.
plan on doing it
Sooner.
again. Fullback you.